Hey guys, it's Captain Forest here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over both these combatants to see who would win, more often than not, in a cross-verse situation, the Marquis of Death versus Barbatos. Now, if you guys are new to my channel, please leave a like, comment down below, and of course, subscribe for further content. Also, shouts to the Coffee Shop Gang, they make awesome content, their links will be in the description. Also, shouts to the HQ Squad, they also help me in my videos. Massive shouts to the team, much appreciated. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, start off with the Marquis of Death. Alright, let's start off with Clyde Wickham Jr. The past history of Clyde mirrored that of his Earth 1219 counterpart, up until one day, without any warning, Area 87 came under attack from several of Reed Richards' greatest enemies, all of whom sought to kill Clyde. In their arrogance, Clyde was freed from his mind, fully restored. But with a thought, Clyde killed all of the villains around him, and by doing so, his appetite for slaughter awakened. Dedicating 1 billion years of his immortal life to learning how to master both time and space, Clyde eventually became the Marquis of Death. As the Marquis of Death, he travelled across the multiverse, wiping out every single universe he came into contact with. At one point, the Marquis of Death arrived on Earth 616 and met with a young man named Victor Von Doom. Seeing potential within Doom, the Marquis of Death took young Victor as his apprentice and taught him everything he knew. After he had finished training Doom, the Marquis of Death departed Earth 1610 to continue his omnicidal sojourn for another 2 decades. Now, how about we move on down the line and talk about what this dude brings to the table in this battle. So for starters, we've seen Clyde mind control a ton of 616 characters. He teleported them to his own universe as well. This included the Devourer of Worlds himself, aka Galactus. As we all know, Galactus possesses telepathic powers that rival, if not completely surpass, that of the All-Father himself, aka Odin. Keep in mind, this was before the Marquis of Death mastered his powers. He was just a brain-damaged man in a clinic. The Marquis of Death has showcased summoning tactics. How? The dude summoned thousands of Fantastic Fours from alternate timelines. Last but surely not least, we've seen a past version of Clyde battle the Marquis of Death, his future self, in a war. Both were summoning extremely powerful entities as pawns in their war. Past Clyde was using characters like Thanos, Odin and Galactus, while the Marquis of Death was using Ego and most notably Eternity. Okay, so that's going to round up the Marquis of Death. I'm going to go ahead, move on and talk about Barbatos. So Barbatos was able to kill the World Forger inside the Forge. The World Forger comes from the 6th dimension, and Mr. Mixie states that anyone in the 6th dimension is beyond him, which would include the Anti-Monitor. And during Dark Knight's Metal, Barbatos wailing was shaking the strings of the multiverse, and Wonder Woman notes that the gods believe a crisis is coming that will shake the very firmament and douse the light of creation. Barbatos was making the stories in the Dreaming come to life. Barbatos also started a fire in a library, which was going to put an end to all stories and the Dreaming. The only reason why the heroes have beaten gods and monsters is because Barbatos allowed them to. So he also one-shots Superman and Wonder Woman as well when he first approached them in combat, which was very impressive. So right there and there, we've got some really good scaling for Barbatos. He should easily be high Ultraversal. Now as for speed, Barbatos should easily have irrelevant speed. He is also able to tag and one-shot Superman and Wonder Woman and trap them both in nightmares and illusions, where Barbatos beats them every time for 7 days. Superman himself easily has irrelevant speed feats, such as outpacing reality blitzing missiles, as Superman was able to move inside the source, which contains no direction. So, and due to the nature of being high Ultraversal, you would naturally have irrelevant speed anyway. So this is just some consistency to add on to the speed. But personally, I don't really think speed's going to be too much of an issue in this battle, but I figured I'd mention it anyway. So that's going to round up the AP and speed for Barbatos. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to some of Barbatos' hacks and abilities. So Barbatos can trap you in a conceptual nightmare and these conceptual illusions, and the illusions are psychotic traps where inside the illusions you are finessed with a false glimmer of hope to only wind up losing to your own manifestation of your fears and nightmares and stuck in the same cycle of losing. Wonder Woman notes that the illusions weren't worse than reality, and Barbatos can fire dark lightning from his hand, and he's used his dark lightning to one-shot Carter, and then says that he'll create entire worlds to torment the heroes for all of eternity. Barbatos can summon his army with his wailing, and Barbatos' army are also strong enough to fight the heroes and physically damage them. And Barbatos can also corrupt you and take possession over you, causing you to blindly serve him. Barbatos was able to do this to Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Okay, so that's going to round up both these combatants. I'm going to go ahead, break this fight down piece by piece, and I'll give my thoughts on who I think wins more often than not in a cross-verse situation. So, looking at things from their stats, in terms of AP, I would say Barbatos has the AP edge over Marquis of Death. Barbatos easily has boundless scaling, especially after his feat where he was able to kill the World Forger who resides in the 6th dimension, easily boundless scaling. Now the Marquis of Death, yes, when he summoned Eternity, it's hard to say if that was multi-eternity like true form eternity. The safe assumption would be to basically say it's an M body. Now M bodies are pretty powerful. They usually have like outer plus, high outer versal scaling, maybe even boundless, but even then it's a stretch to say any higher. It's just, and plus even if we gave him boundless scaling, it just wouldn't be enough. Barbatos would still have more layers into the tier. He definitely would scale higher regardless. So even if we were to take those generous routes, I would say that Barbatos would still be above the Marquis of Death and his summons pretty easily. However, if we take into account that the Eternity that Marquis of Death summoned during his battle, and say like it was multi-eternity like true form eternity, then this would be a very different story. True form eternity, multi-eternity easily has like extraversal scaling, so 1s, that would absolutely no diff Barbatos. It wouldn't even be a competition, it wouldn't even be a matchup. It's disgusting. If he actually summoned the true thing, yeah, there's nothing that Barbatos can do against like multi-eternity true form. No way. Like, he just scaled vastly above him, cosmologically, way beyond him. So if we did look at that hypothetical, then yeah, Marquis of Death would pretty much one-shot no difficulty by just bringing out multi-eternity. However, there's just not enough to suggest that it's the real thing, like it's the true form. It'd be safe to say if it was like an avatar, so like an M body basically, which are, you know, weaker, and even then it's just not enough. So I have to give AP to Barbatos. I do think that he takes AP more often than not. Speed, I don't think speed's an issue. They both have irrelevant speed feats, you know, scaling pretty easily, so I definitely don't think speed's going to be an issue. However, I do think because Barbatos has the edge, a lot of his hacks, his corruption and other nasty abilities he brings to the table will definitely be able to secure him the very easy victory. So it doesn't matter if Marquis summons out his summons, they're not powerful enough to deal with Barbatos. In fact, Barbatos will just corrupt his summons and then use his own summons and on top of his own army as well. So I just think the summoning for Marquis of Death would be extremely counterintuitive because the summons aren't powerful. They're pretty fodder in comparison to Barbatos. So I think Barbatos would take victory more often than not, probably like low difficulty, I think. But yeah, those are my thoughts at least. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. But yeah, it's been real. See you guys in the next one.